Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll call the meeting to order for Monday, August the 9th, 2010, and we'll start off. Ms. Harrison, if you'd like to introduce the late items, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Delete item 6B, delegations pertaining to agenda items, Mr. Darren Moss. Add item 6D, delegations pertaining to agenda items, Mr. Kim Bahardi, on behalf of Xenex Capital Corporation regarding development permit DP 666 for 585 Uplands Drive. Add item 6E, delegations pertaining to agenda items, Mr. Ryan Clark regarding 12 Cubed Homes application for a temporary use permit at 2103 Bowen Road. Delete item 11L, staff reports, E&N Railway Station tax exemption application for 321 Selby Street. Delete item 11O, staff reports, unsightly premises at 5391 Kenwill Drive. Delete item 11P, staff reports, unsightly premises, 73 Princess Street. Delete item 11Q, staff reports, unsightly premises, 1130 Vancouver Avenue. Delete item 11R, staff reports, unsightly premises, 52 Victoria Crescent. Add item 11R-1, staff reports, unsightly premises, 550 Brecken Road. Replace item 11V, staff reports, unresolved building deficiencies, marijuana grow operation. Notice on title, section 57, to remove reference to unit 8 from the staff recommendation. Add item 17A, council appointments, corporate officer, deputy corporate officer.
Thank you very much. Could I have somebody move the adoption of the agenda as amended, please? Second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And the adoption of minutes? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're going into presentations, and I just want to check. I didn't have a chance to go beforehand. This live microphone, I guess, will be live at some point. So what we'd like to do is start off. We're very pleased tonight to have Mrs. Joan Finlayson here with us tonight, the wife of the late Dean Finlayson. And I just wanted to add a few words I'd like to say, if I could. This is that part of that's the Neck Point Park, I think, that is there, that and the park that we acquired. And I think tonight I'm very, very pleased to announce that we'll be officially dedicating Dean Finlayson Way. And Dean Finlayson was a true ambassador to the city. His work in and for the community helped develop Nanaimo into the outstanding city that it is today. His work, among the many other projects, Dean championed the Nanaimo landmarks, including the Port Theatre, the Nanaimo Parkway, and the creation of Piper's Lagoon. And what's not in the notes, but I wanted to point out too, that Dean was very instrumental in establishing the mall at Woodgrove. That was his concept and his design and his building, and I think we all should recognize the tremendous effort that Dean put in with Woodgrove. He was a passionate supporter of Nanaimo. Dean turned down his friend, former Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, when offered a prestigious position in Ottawa. Instead, he chose to stay in Nanaimo and began work on a spectacular home for himself and his wife Joan in what is now called Neck Point Park, which is before us. The Finlaysons called this piece Heaven on Earth, their home for 25 years before the property was ultimately purchased as parkland by the city of Nanaimo. As a recipient of the Commemorative Medal of the Golden Jubilee of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in 2002, Dean was a visionary in the development of Nanaimo to one of North America's most desirable places to live and work. In 2005, the City of Nanaimo recognized Dean's contribution to the city by honoring him as a patron of the city. The naming of this road, recommended by local businessman Tom Harris and represented tonight by his son Mike Harris, will serve to honor Dean's contribution to Nanaimo and recall the history of Neck Point Park. Today we are pleased to officially dedicate the road to Neck Point Park as Dean Finlayson Way. And I'd like to invite Councillor Larry McNabb on my left, Chair of Parks, Recreation and Culture Commission, to say a few words before the official presentation. Councillor McNabb.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. What Mayor Rattan said, everything he said, I will second what he said about Dean. He was a friend of mine. He was always there for this community. His fingerprints throughout Nanaimo history will count to shape this community for years to come. A recent addition to Neck Point has further expanded Nanaimo's already outstanding park system. We are thrilled to honor Dean's contribution to the community today by dedicating Dean Finlayson Way. And everything that this man and I go back along many years. We've always been very close to each other, always been very friendly, and he was a great, great guy. And I would like now to introduce Mike Harris, who Tom Harris was a big part in this whole issue. So, Mike.
Mike, it's going to be live momentarily, I hope. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming. It's great.
My pleasure. Good evening, everyone. I grew up just not far away from Mr. and Mrs. Finlayson at all. We lived about a mile down the road, and my three sisters, my brother and I, we all went to Hammond Bay School, which is immediately next to Neck Point. And I didn't have the privilege of meeting Mr. and Mrs. Finlayson until tonight. I met Mrs. Finlayson for the first time, but I did have the pleasure of playing on their property as a little kid. It was right next to Hammond Bay School, and all of us kids, you know, you'd play in the woods and you'd be on their property, and it's just beautiful there. And if Mr. Finlayson had thought strictly in the terms of the developer that he was, Neck Point would look a lot different than it does today. But he thought first as a charitable citizen, and we're so lucky in Nanaimo to have this as a park. I actually still live not far from where I grew up. I live on Hammond Bay. I'm right across from Shack Island. I look right across at Neck Point from where we are, and my son now is 13 months old, and just yesterday I took him in his stroller and we ran around Neck Point. We do all the time. My wife and I, we go for a run there a few times a week, and I just think that as citizens in Nanaimo, we're just so lucky that they chose for this to be a park instead of the other options that they had in front of them. It was a real charitable thing for the Finlaysons to do. So when we were at our, it was a Chamber of Commerce breakfast. It was, we were raising money in a charity auction, and we have a number of businesses, actually OK Tire in Parksville and Oceanside, Chevrolet Buick GMC up there, and then down here Harris Mazda, Harris Kia, and Harris Mitsubishi, and then the Tom Harris Cellular stores. And we all got together and we thought, you know what, if we have the opportunity to be able to name a street in Nanaimo, wouldn't it be neat if we could name it Dean Finlayson Way? So we bid on that auction item with that in mind, and I think it's just a very small way to pay tribute to a citizen in Nanaimo who's done so much for all of us. So Mrs. Finlayson, thank you so much, and we're just happy to be able to be a part of this.
Thanks, Mike. If you want to stay there for a minute, and then, yeah, go ahead. Thanks very much, Mike. And actually, if we could just ask now for Mrs. Finlayson to come forward. And I think Mrs. Finlayson may have a poem for us. Doesn't that look nice? Isn't that Dean would like that, you know. That Joan, did you want to read? I understand you had a poem you'd like to read. Please go ahead.
I wrote this in 1958, long before most of you were born, and Dean and I were dating, and he took me through the woods, through the bush and the trees to the point. There were no roads, no schools, no anything there, and so when he took me there, we were going to have a picnic. So I wrote this little poem, very short, called The Picnic. The loaf of bread I'll bring from home, the book of verse I'll borrow, the jug of wine, all neatly corked, awaits our jaunt tomorrow. But thou must tell me where we'll sing, for this I've not provided. Will it be our lovely point before it's subdivided?
Good for you. Well said. You know, I think it's significant to mention that there were developers interested in putting condominiums on that site, and what a sad travesty that would have been, because it's such a lovely park, and we're so appreciative of all that you and Dean have done together for our community.
during the winter we had so many deer down there that in the little sort of hollows where the bushes sort of were blown by the wind to cover, Dean used to put straw in there for the deer to go. So you used to find deer sleeping in there every day when it was winter. Yeah, so it was.
Well, Dean was a very thoughtful man. So that's the presentation, and would you like to go ahead with it now? And we'll hand it over to you. You can hold it momentarily, but don't worry.
I just said to my friend, do I take it home with me?
If you,
I don't think you will.
well, you can if you wish, and then we'll get it back. You have a very honest face. I'm sure we'll get it back. So so.
It's such a lovely thought for all of you to do this for me.
Say a few words. Who's this?
Yeah, she takes it with her.
She can. Do you want to say a few words? Who? You. Who you? The wise old owls? Anyway, well, that's the whole vocabulary. Anyway, what we'll do is, if you'd like to take it with you, and then you can get a picture. No? If not?
Yes, she takes it with her.
No, she says she doesn't want to.
We have another one to go down.
Oh.
Because I live at Burlington Lane. They'll be thrilled if I go home with this.
Okay, you have it. Okay, it's yours.
After all, it's got Dean's name on it. It belongs to you.
What are you doing tonight? So I said, this.
First fight.
No.
Is this her first fight?
No.
They usually kiss me on the cheeks.
He's relentless. Anyway, but congratulations, Joan. We're so pleased to be able to make this presentation. And we'd like to thank Mike Harris on behalf of the Harris family and the Harris Auto Group that made this all possible.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. There's so many empty seats here that for a minute I thought I was going to sit in the wrong chair, which has happened more than once. A little bit awkward when people are watching, of course. Anyway, sorry? Yeah, we have sitting in splendid isolation Councillor Unger, and I just thought that we should note that we have at the far end Councillor Kipp is absent, Councillor Holdham is absent, and Councillor Sherry is absent tonight. I think Councillor Holdham may be on his honeymoon, I'm not sure, which is kind of an exciting time for him, and Councillor Sherry is on holidays, and I believe Councillor Kipp is as well. So that deals with the presentations, and now we have delegations pertaining to items, agenda items, and you have up to 10 minutes. And the first presenter will be Ms. Christina Charlton Marchand, Beat Street Society, to request a proclamation for Busking Month. Welcome, you're ready. Yeah, it's gone.
Hi. Oh. I'm from the Beat of the Street, the Vice President. What we are a society that is holding a Little Woodstock West Festival down in Swilana Park, September 3rd and 4th. We had it proclaimed Buskers Month last year as for September, and we would like to have that done again, please.
Great.
And there's more people.
Sure.
Kathy, our founder.
I'm really happy to be here. My name is Kathy Davis. I live at 2114 Lang Crescent. And today is such a different day than 7 years ago when I was at council. The Beat of the Street Society was started at the suggestion of Jerry Berry, who felt that we might have more positive actions and reactions if we became a society. And Mr. Ron Cantillon made the suggestion to me at the Economic Development Strategy meeting in 2003 that I start a busking festival. And out of these suggestions, both coming from council, the Beat of the Street Society was born. Last year, council proclaimed September as Busking Month in September. This year, we received our first grant from Parks, Recreation, and Culture. This year, we have a new executive, and a lot of positive things are happening. The Beat of the Street is the merchants, it's the people who live downtown, it's council and the mayor who help us have good direction for downtown and for all of Nanaimo. And I personally want to thank every single one of you for helping us to make this society positive. And now I'd like to introduce the new executive of the Beat of the Street Society, Ms. Tina Marchand, and we have a number of other executive members in the back and members of the society who support us. Thank you. Here's Tina Marchand.
Great, thank you.
Just introduce me.
All right. You've already met me, so I'm going to let you talk to our president, who has some things for you.
Thank you very much. I have a certificate here of recognition in recognition of community spirit, City of Nanaimo, Parks and Recreation and Culture, and we want to thank you very much for the grant that was given to us this year. Very wonderful and was most helpful. And I want to remind Council we'll be around in November trying to do the same thing again. And I'm hoping that City Council will, again, for September, declare it busking month. And will I just bring this forward?
No, just leave it to staff over there to your right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you all very much for all the help that you've given the Beat of the Street Society. Thank you very much.
Great.
And last but not least, my name is Jay Foster. I'm also part of Beat of the Street Society. What I have to give you is just some posters and notation of some of the things that we have been doing, that we are doing, and some of the other places that we are helping out in. Especially, we've got Loaves and Fishes that we're helping, the Boys and Girls Club, the Haven Society, which will be helping. We are going to be doing events like each month to help out all the other societies of Nanaimo that need our help as well. So in return, as they say, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. It's for the community to come together, for us to help them, for them to help us, and to make Nanaimo a much more giving, even more than it already is, place to live and be. I've been in Nanaimo for 35 years, and I just love Nanaimo, and I would never leave. So I would also ask if Council would vote to have September as busking month in Nanaimo. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, it appears under item 8C in the agenda tonight. Did you want to ask if any of your supporters are in the back that they'd like to stand and be recognized as well?
There we go.
There you go.
I'm going to say, hi.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, it comes up later in the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next presentation will be from a delegation from Inside, actually, Mr. Doug Bromwich, Mr. George Hanson, Mr. Nigel Gray, and Mr. Will Melville regarding development permit DP 648 at 6199 Nitnat Way. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Attend and Council. My name is George Hanson. I'm the Development Manager for Insight Developments. And as you indicated, we do have our team of professionals relative to the development permit that will come before you for 6199 Nitnat Way. I just wanted to say a few words about this project. We're very excited about it. It sits right in this new neighborhood, right off of McGurr, near the high school and the elementary school. And our design has been to create some modest homes that will be attractive to young families that would like to be in that neighborhood near those schools. And it fits right between a townhouse project, and on the other side of the street are some single-family homes that we're building. So we believe that these are going to be very attractive, modestly priced in the north end for young families in that neighborhood. And we'll look forward to any questions that you might have about this. We think the style is very appropriate. Fits kind of an old city look to the buildings. And we've designed it so that there is a lot of green space on the property, so that families have a lot of space around their homes, even though the actual lots and yards are fairly small. So,
thank you. I do see one question from Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Bishop.
Evening, Mr. Hansen. This may be the dumbest question that's going to be asked tonight, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Could you explain to me why the height measurement is done differently for the ones that are on curbside as opposed to the ones that are inside?
Yes, the thought was to measure these from the curb rather than doing the averaging because of the terrain and the changes in that there's quite a slope to the street, and it felt more appropriate that the scale of the houses be viewed from their relationship to the curb rather than the averaging on the lot.
Okay. Wasn't so dumb, was it?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I've never thought your questions were dumb, Fred.
Councillor Johnson, oops, I lost you, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, Mr. Hansen, the Design Advisory Panel made the recommendation that you reverse lots 1 and 2 and also add some evergreen shrubbery to the site. Have you taken that into consideration?
Yes, the answer to those questions is yes and yes. We did hear what the design panel asked for, and we have made those adjustments.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hansen. I see no further questions at this time. Thank you very much. The next delegation will be Mr. Kim Bahari on behalf of Xenex Capital Corporation regarding development permit DP 666 for 5085 Uplands Drive. Welcome, sir. Up to 10 minutes.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Kim Bahari. I'm with REMAX of Nanaimo. I represent Xenex Capital and Mark Gillespie. We're seeking an extension of a currently existing development permit that's been approved by City of Nanaimo. A little bit of background, Xenex Capital acquired this property, or first of all, Xenex Capital is a private mortgage company and recently acquired this property by way of a quitclaim deed from Uplands Holdings, who had received the approval from the City of Nanaimo to construct a 51-unit condo development at 5085 Uplands Drive. Economic conditions caused things to obviously take a downturn. They were unable to secure necessary financing, and consequently, through a quitclaim deed, gave the property back to Xenex Capital. We are in the process of marketing the property currently. I am the listing agent on the property, and we are actively trying to move forward with trying to get the development going and hopefully some prospects. Xenex Capital has expressed interest to qualified buyers to actually participate as a partner in the project, but thus far we have not received any interested parties. Again, we're seeking a 2-year extension on the existing development permit. We believe that with the current market conditions, although we've rebounded from the recent downturn in the economy, there still might be some cautionary things moving forward with consumer investor confidence, but believe that within a 2-year period can gain the necessary marketing and exposure that will allow us to benefit the City of Nanaimo and the community.
Thank you, sir. I see no questions for you this time. They let you off light this time. So
nice. I like that.
It appears later in the agenda. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And the last delegation is Mr. Ryan Clark, 12 Cubed Homes, regarding temporary use of permit number TUP15 at 2103 Bowen Road. Welcome, sir. You've got up to 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the time. Welcome to 12 Cubed Homes. 12 Cubed, we design and build sustainable micro homes. So how small is small? Our units are 12 by 12 by 12. It's a complete house, meant as a carriage house, laneway housing, secondary suites, and that's not going to work. Oh well. Meant as detached suites as under Nanaimo's new laneway housing bylaw. Our applications are perfect for carriage houses, laneway housing, secondary suites, recreational properties, and affordable housing initiatives. Our Our homes have more ingenuity per cubic foot than most any other house, and with our patented movable floor system, we are able to provide an entire complete home package in such a small space with a double bed, full bathroom, full kitchen. There's a couch that flips down to become a spare bed, even desks and LED lighting that is very low draw on the grid. That low draw is pre-wired to be for solar power so that they can be completely off-grid, water harvesting, water recycling, using rain gardens, so that these units aren't only built sustainably, they're also light on infrastructure and so on. So in City of Nanaimo's current zoning, they qualify on corner lots, laneway, any property with a laneway access, any property that's over a quarter acre. These are not mobile homes. These are built on a foundation, and they completely comply with BC Building Code. Our production facility is actually proudly here in Nanaimo, down on 5th Street. We're currently producing units. We pre-build most of the components in the facility, and then we ship them to site where they're then constructed and put up. This process allows us to save on a lot of the cost savings, allows us to have better environmental controls for waste and material sourcing, and allows us to keep the cost down overall. So we've been looking for a show home location for our ingenious homes, and we've been working with city staff to find an appropriate location for that. And this city-owned property at 2103 Bowen Road, the corner of Meredith and Bowen there, has come up as most likely and suitable location for traffic flows, for our own solar orientation, so we can help highlight some of the solar possibilities and technologies. And as this is a old city property, it is currently overrun with blackberries, but we plan to clean up the blackberries, preserve all the fruit trees, preserve the old fir trees that are there, and clean up the site, as well as bring on more of a zero-scaping, natural landscaping to that property, very light on the land with a rain garden for rainwater collection there. So our show home is currently almost finished at a production facility, and this would then be moved onto site if approved, and then be open to the public as a show home there. Another artist rendering. So I just want to thank Council for their leadership in supporting green initiatives and sustainability initiatives, and I thank you for considering our temporary use permit on your property.
Thank you. We do have a couple of questions. The first one is Councillor Unger.
Thank you, Your Worship. When you mentioned temporary use permit, how long is it for?
This is for a maximum of 2 years on that property.
Thank you.
Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. Evening, Mr. Clark. These houses would sell for roughly how much?
Depending on the site. It all depends on how close they are to servicing and the topography, but a typical installation would range between $35,000 and $45,000 installed, complete.
Okay. May I have a follow-up, Your Worship? How many people does 12 Cube Homes employ in Nanaimo at this point?
We currently employ approximately 10 employees, and that'll be ramping up through this fall as production increases. Yeah.
And will this be your first demonstration project, or will you have them in other parts of the province?
No, this is our very first. Yes.
Very first one. Thank you.
And I guess we have Councillor Beswick has a question. Maybe beforehand, just a quick question there, that you'll be putting up just the one home on that site on Meredith and Bowen Road?
Yes, sir.
Just one single home design on it? You weren't planning on having 2 or 3 others?
No,
okay.
No, it's just the one.
Councillor Beswick.
Thank you, Worship. Actually, that was my question, but with that said, just with the new carriage house laneway opportunities that we have, this question would be directed to staff. I understand that would allow for somewhere in the neighborhood of a 680 square foot carriage house. Is that in that neighborhood? Is that fair to make that assumption?
Your Worship, that's correct. The the carriage house can go up to a maximum of 70 square meters, 750 square feet.
750 square feet. And if, in fact, these become popular and they're the square footage that they are, could somebody have more than one of these in the new laneway situation that we're talking about?
No, it's the carriage house, only one is permitted per site.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I see no further questions. Thank you, sir. That'll come up later in the agenda. That concludes the delegations, and I'll just go into proclamations, item 8 on your agenda. 8A, that 2010 September 9th is Fetal Alcohol Spectrum Disorder Awareness Day in the city of Nanaimo. And that B, that 2010 September 16th is National Family Dinner Night in the city of Nanaimo. And lastly, that the month of September is Busking Month in the city of Nanaimo. Moving to commission reports and Parks and Recreation and Cultural Commission, travel assistance application from Nanaimo Canoe and Kayak Club. Commission's recommendation that council approve the application for a travel assistance grant for the Nanaimo Canoe and Kayak Club in the amount of $900. This application meets all of the grant criteria.
So moved.
Second, I see no discussion. No questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next item is the minutes of the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Commission meeting held 2010, June 23rd. Commission's recommendation that council receive the minutes of the Parks, Recreation, Cultural Commission meeting held on that same date.
So moved, Your Worship.
Seconder, I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Going to committee reports, grants and aid committee recommendation. Committee's recommendation that 1, award an other grant from council contingency to Nanaimo 710 Club Society in the amount of $9,900. And 2, deny a permissive tax exemption to the Nanaimo Family History Society. What's your pleasure on that? So moved. You moved? Okay. And item 1. Just 1, okay. And second item 1. Okay. I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Cancel. And second, deny a permissive tax exemption to the Nanaimo Family City History Society. So moved. Approved. Second.
Question, please.
And we have Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. I just would like the record to show that this council in 2009 gave a 50% rent reduction to the Nanaimo Family History Society, and I just need that to be part of the record, basically.
Good. Thank you. Good point. Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. And we'll move into staff reports. Community Safety and Development, DP 464, 76 Terminal Avenue. And I think there is a representative from Pacific Land Resource Group that will be in attendance should council have any questions. Staff recommendation that council issue development permit number DP 464 at 76 Terminal Avenue with the following variants. Required front yard Terminal Avenue arterial. The required front yard setback is 7.5 meters or 26.4 feet. The convenience store is cited at 2.19 meters or 6.9 feet. A proposed variance of 5.39 meters or 17.7 feet. What's your pleasure on that one?
Move the recommendation.
Second, moved and seconded. Any see no discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. We're going into Nitnat Way, DP 648, 6199 Nitnat Way. Staff recommendation that council issue a development permit number DP 648 at 6199 Nitnat Way with the following variances. Requiring building height. The maximum allowed building height is 9 meters or 29.5 feet. The proposed building heights and variances are identified in the following tables. There's an awful lot of them. The table 1, building height for units fronting McGear and Nitnat, measured from the curb. Unit 1, 9 meters. The allowed is 9 meters. The proposed building height is 10.07 meters, and the proposed variance is 1.07 meters. The second unit 2 is again allowed 9 meters. This one is a little closer at 9.92 meters, a variance of 0.92 meters. Unit 3 is 9 meters, and the proposed building height is 10.34, proposed variance of 1.34 meters. Item 4, 9 meter allowed, 10.33 meter height, 1.33 meter variance. Unit 7, 9 meters again, 10.26 meters proposed height, and again a variance of 1.26 meters. Item 8, Unit 8 rather, 9 meters is the allowed. Proposed is 11.14, and the variance is 2.14. Item 10, 9 meter allowed height, 10.21 meter actual height, variance of 1.21 meters. And number 13, 9 meter height, 10.89 actual, 1.89 variance. Number 14, 9 meter height, the actual is 11.44 meters, variance of 2.44 meters. And item 15, and the final one is 9 meter height. The actual proposed building height is 11.84, and the variance of 2.84 meters.
Move table 1.
Move table 1. Move and second. I see Councillor Bestwick.
I wasn't certain, Your Worship, if we were going to address 1 through 15 and then 5 through 17, but just simply a comment as it relates to this project. And upon viewing the site and the plans and walking the neighborhood and reviewing the work that this Insight has done on previous developments, this is specifically and precisely what I think that we're looking for in our developments. And without further going into each and every one of these height variances specific, when you look at the big picture of this project is absolutely ideal to what it is that I think that we're seeking in new development. And so I just didn't know if we were going to go through table 1 and 2, but I would certainly, of course, support staff's recommendation on the variances that are being requested.
For table 1, okay. Move and second. Okay, I see no further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Oops, I'm sorry. Woke everyone up, and the motion passes unanimously. Table 2, building height for units internal to the site, which is measured from the average finished height. Unit number 5, 9 meter again allowed height. The actual is 9.32 for variance of 0.32. Unit 6, 9 meters. The proposed height is 9.32. Again, 0.62 meter variance. Unit number 11, 9 meter allowed height, 9.32 meters for a proposed height variance of 0.59. Unit 12, 9 meter height, 9.32 actual for a 0.44 meter variance. Unit 16 is 9 meter height again, 9.32 meter actual for a 0.70 variance. And the final number is suite number 17, or unit 17, 9 meter height. Proposed height is 9.32, again a variance of 0.70.
Move table number 2.
Okay, move and second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We're going into DP 655, 3930 Nelson Road. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that at the bottom. Required front yard setback at Nitnat Way. The required front yard setback is 6 meters or 19.7 feet. The proposed front yard setback for 4 units is 4.5 meters or 14.8 feet. A proposed variance of 1.5 meters or 4.9 feet. What's your pleasure?
Move the request.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. And the second one is required rear yard. The required rear yard is 10.5 meters or 34.5 feet. The proposed rear yard is 511 meters or 16.7 feet. A proposed variance of 5.4 meters or 17.7 feet.
Move the request.
Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Now we'll move into DP 655, 5930 Nelson Road. Staff's recommendation that the council issue a development permit number DP 655 at 5930 Nelson Road with the following variances. Man, there's a lot of them too. The aquatic setback. The subject property is located adjacent to McGregor Creek, and as such, a 15-meter or 49-foot aquatic setback is required from the top of the creek bank in order to accommodate at-grade parking 8 meters or 26 feet from the top of the bank. The applicant is requesting an aquatic setback variance of 7 meters or 23 feet. Someone
move the staff's recommendation.
Second motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. And for discussion, Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. A question to staff, if I may. Would you, Mr. Holm, comment, please, on the fact that if this aquatic setback is approved, that the only thing that will be built on that is a number of parking stalls and not the structure itself?
Yes, that's correct.
And the other question I have for you, it is a property that slopes from Nelson Street towards McGregor Creek. How does the water get to McGregor Creek?
The applicant is currently working with staff through the engineering design process to develop a stormwater dispersion system to direct stormwater to the creek.
By that you mean that stormwater gets into our sewage system?
It's directed towards the creek.
Towards the creek. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Beswick.
Thank you, Worship. Similarly to my previous comments on the last project, this again, when you review exactly what it is that this proponent is doing on this site, it's a terrific project, and this is why we have these opportunities for alterations and changes that makes the project better for all those involved, the neighbors, the community, and these are two excellent projects that I'm very willing to support with the variances noted.
I certainly agree with that. Front yard or major road. The eastern property line borders Rutherford Road, while this property line is considered a front yard. Rutherford Road is a major collector road, and therefore a 7.5 meter or 24.6 foot major road setback is required. The proposed building is located at 3.35 meters or 11 feet from the flanking street property line, and as such, a 3 meter or 9.8 foot road variance is required. Someone like to move on? Move. Second. I see no further discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Flanking side yard. The access feature to the unit's encroachment on the flanking side yard setback. The required flanking side yard setback is 4 meters or 13.12 feet. The proposed building setback is 3.3 meters or 10.7 feet, a variance of 0.7 meters or 2.29 feet is requested.
Move the recommendation. Second motion.
See no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. The rear yard, the required rear yard setback is 10.5 meters or 34.4 feet. The proposed building is setback 7.5 meters or 24.6 feet from the rear property line, a variance of 3 meters or 9.8 feet.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. And the final one, parking. The required on-site parking is 29 spaces. The proposed parking is 28 spaces, a variance of 1 parking space.
Move the recommendation. Second.
Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. We're going into DP 666 at 5085 Uplands Drive. And council recommendation, staff recommendation that council issue development permit number DP 666 effective January 12, 2011 at 5085 Uplands Drive, which would renew the existing DP 579, including the following variances. And there was required building height with a variance of 1.083 meters. On the required front yard setback, the required proposed setback is 0.5 meters or 1.6 feet, a variance of 7 meters or 23 feet. The required side yard setback, are 3 meters or 9.8 feet. The proposed west property line yard is 1.2 meters, a variance of 1.8 meters. There's also a further proposed south property line. Side yard is 2.8 meters or 9.2 feet. A proposed variance of 0.2 meters or 0.6 feet. And I just wondered if someone would like to move that for us. Moved and seconded. Question, we have two. Councillor Bestwick first.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question to staff. When this development permit was provided, and now for the renewal, is there anything? Are these the same four variances that were submitted with the original application?
Yes, they are.
And there's been no change to any obligations or rules, whether that's steep slope or otherwise, or some other type of rules that have come down in the last 18 months?
Not for this property.
Not for this property? Thank you.
Councillor Pachi.
Thank you, Richard. That was my first question. The second one I have to staff as well. What happens if nothing happens on this property in the next 2 years? They can come back for another 2?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. And the final question, Your Worship, if I may. Access and egress, is that only from the property onto Uplands Drive?
Yes, it is.
Is that problematic? It's a busy road.
No, it wasn't determined to be problematic through staff's review.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. And would someone like to move all 5 variances for 5085 Uplands Drive? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're into DP 668 at 4960 Songbird Place. Staff recommendation to council issue development permit DP 668 at 4960 Songbird Place, which would renew development permit number DP 501, including the following variances: a building height variance. The maximum allowable height for an RM3 zone is 6.71 meters or 22 feet. The proposed height of this building is 11 meters or 36.9 feet. Maybe we'll do that, Siri Adam, if somebody would like to move that one. Moved and seconded. For discussion, I have Councillor Pachi.
Thank you, Worship. Just to staff, I think it would be advisable if staff could explain the change from a setback of 15 meters to 0. That's a dramatic one, and there's special circumstances that you might want to explain.
Sure. The setback variance applies to a pond that is being largely revegetated. The setback area will be largely revegetated, and the setback reductions requested to allow a viewing platform and a turnaround area to project into the setback. But the remainder of the area within the setback will be revegetated.
Okay. Would somebody like to move that the building height variance then? Move. This is seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And then the aquatic setback, that's the one that Councillor Pachi, I think, was referring to. The required aquatic setback is 15 meters or 49.2 feet from the natural boundary of the pond. The proposed aquatic setback is 0 meters. This represents a variance of 15 meters or 49.2 feet. Okay, second. Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. DVP 155 at 4612 Laguna Way. It's requested that Councillor or anyone wishing to speak with respect to DVP 155 Laguna Way. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak to matters related? The staff recommendation is that Council issue development variance permit DVP 155 at 4612 Laguna Way.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It carries unanimously. We're going into RA 240 at 5619 Westdale Road. Staff recommendation that Council receive the report pertaining to zoning amendment bylaw 2010 number 4000.498, which is represented in the bylaws section of the agenda, and 2, direct staff to secure the community contribution prior to the adoption of the bylaw should Council choose to support the bylaw at the third reading.
So moved.
Okay, and is it seconded? And discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. And we move on to RA 245 at 5825 Turner Road. Staff recommendation that council receive the report pertaining to zoning amendment bylaw 2010 number 4000.482, which is presented under the bylaw section of the agenda, and 2, direct staff to secure road dedication, a covenant for vehicle restrictions, general building design, secondary street restrictions, and the secondary suite restrictions, and the community contribution prior to the adoption of the bylaw should council choose to support the bylaw at the third reading.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Councillor Patchy.
Just a question to staff. You show on the background paper that this subject property is located with a neighborhood designation, whereas it's not very far from the Island Highway. When does a neighborhood designation start or end, and when does a corridor such as the Island Highway begin or end?
I'm not 100% sure on this. I believe the properties fronting the Island Highway are within the corridor designation, but the subject property is within the neighborhood designation. We can confirm if you'd wish.
Well, that has me confused because on previous occasions when I've asked a question, the answer usually would be that it would be at least a block in. And this is a lot less than.
I guess the properties fronting the highway, it's the corridor designation is not consistently defined as within a block of a major arterial. In this case, there is a row of properties fronting the Island Highway, with the first block ending at Arnhem Terrace.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I see no further questions. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're going to go into RA 249. Part of 314 Benson View Boulevard. Staff recommendations that council receive the report pertaining to zoning amendment bylaw number 2010 4000.483, which is presented in the bylaw section, and direct staff to number 2, direct staff to secure a building design, DCCs, and community contribution prior to the adoption of the bylaw should council choose to support the bylaw at the third reading.
So moved.
Okay, seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. Temporary use permit TUP 15, 2103 Bowen Road. This is the one for the micro house at 12 by 12 by 12. Staff recommendation that council issue a temporary use permit to allow a demonstration project consisting of a show house for a 12-foot by 12-foot micro house for a vacant city-owned property located at 2103 Bowen Road for a period of 2 years, and 2, execute a license agreement with 12 Cube Construction Limited for 2 years at market rent rate.
So moved.
Okay, and seconded. Councillor Beswick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just 2 questions to staff. How we define what the market rate is for this property for 2 years. Question number 1, and the state of the property upon departure at the conclusion of the 24th month. Is there a deposit of some description to ensure that the property is left in a better than condition than it was when we...
Your Worship, I'll answer the first question. Is the value of the lease for the 2-year period is determined by the appraised value, and taking a percentage of that determined by our real estate division. So we have not got the appraisal done as yet. If we receive direction from council tonight, we'll proceed with that and determine the exact value, but it will be market rent.
Okay, I'll have a follow-up after the next response to the next question.
Sorry, I'll answer the second question. Staff is taking a bond with the signing of the license agreement. If the temporary use permit's approved, we would take a bond with the signing of the license agreement to ensure that the property is returned to in its better than original state upon departure of 12 Cube.
Thank you. And that answers the next question that I was about to ask.
Yeah, I guess that means they don't have to replant all the blackberries. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? It carried unanimously. Item K, report to...
I don't make fun of you.
What's this? Report to the public hearing held Thursday, 2010, July 8th for bylaws 4000.478, 4000.479, 4000.481, and 4000.480. Staff recommendation that council receive the report for the minutes of the public hearing held Thursday, July 8, 2010 for bylaws 4000.478, 4000.479, 4000.481, and 4000.480.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Beswick, that's you from before, I think. I just took you off there. No further questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. E&N Railway exemption has been pulled at this time, as mentioned earlier. Under item M, like Mary Municipal Highway renaming Strongatharm Avenue, bylaw 2010, number 7106. Staff recommendation is that council receive the report to rename Balmoral Street to Strongatharm Avenue by way of Municipal Highways naming bracket Strongatharm Avenue, bylaw 2010 number 7106, which is presented under the bylaws section of this agenda. And I might just quickly mention that the Strongatharms, Mr. and Mrs. Strongatharm, were both very, very heavily involved with the community. Margaret Strongatharm was a freeman of the city and was a former councillor at that time, I think an alderman on the city, and her husband had a huge amount of community involvement himself. So the family has asked if they could have this street changed. It wasn't much of a challenge for staff and council because there's no houses on it, and it's a very short street, which actually takes away some of the challenge to it.
So moved.
Okay, I see no further questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Moving into unsightly premises. 2638 Beaver Creek Crescent. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to unsightly premises at 2638 Beaver Creek Crescent. Staff recommendation that council pursuant to the property maintenance bylaw 1990 number 3704 amendments thereto direct the owners of 2638 Beaver Creek Crescent to remove a discarded appliance, furniture, branches, and miscellaneous debris from the premises within 14 days, or the work will be done by the city's agent at the owner's cost. Would somebody like to move? Okay, and second? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're going down to another unsightly premises. 550 Brecken Road. It's requested that councillor or anyone wishing to speak with respect to unsightly premises at 550 Brecken Road. Yes, sir. Did you want to come down then? Yeah. Do you want me to turn your microphone on? Welcome, sir. Mm-hmm.
My name is Doug Mark, and our property is right beside 550 Bracken. We're on 6818 Beach Drive. My wife and I moved to Nanaimo 10 years ago at this existing property where we are right now. And we've had problems in the past with this discussion on this property that blackberries have come over and taken over our fence and into our yard, and actually at points has taken completely over parts of our backyard and by our greenhouse where the blackberries will come over and they've gone so far where they've broken a couple of windows in our greenhouse. I'm on disability. I have a hard time keeping up with cutting and trimming the blackberries down on that side of the fence and we go through this every year, and we always call the bylaws and they come down and take a look, and we understand that the owner of the property is not living in Nanaimo. I believe he lives in Calgary or another province, and the city has to go as far as notifying the owner of this problem and then they wait for the owner to respond, and then they come down, and the city always has to clear the parts of that property by our fence and charge it to the owner. We're appreciative of that, but what we would really appreciate is if there's any way that when they do notify the owner of the property, if he could maybe have this done maybe 2 to 3 times a year instead of 1, because it is really overgrown into our yard and that.
Okay, well, it's a valid point you raise, and the motion, if it passes, will require the property owner to remove the overgrown blackberry bushes from the premises within 14 days, or the work will be undertaken by the city's agent at the owner's cost.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Pardon me. The next one is a structural removal order, illegal grow operation at 2253 Wilgers Road. Staff recommendation that council pursuant to sections 7.2 and 7.3 of the community charter order the owners of 2253 Wilgers Road to remove the structure or bring up to standard within 30 days. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to matters at 2253 Wilgers Road?
Move the recommendation.
Good. Seconded. And I see Councillor Beswick, do you want to speak to that?
Well, Your Worship, I wanted to speak to the previous 550 Brecken Road, but I got in a little bit late, perhaps. Just a question to staff: if this is a
vote on this and then go back.
Sure. My apologies.
We should.
Okay, let's do that then. Yeah. So the motion on the floor now is illegal grow operation structural move order. All those in favor? Opposed?
There you go.
Are you opposed or just a late draw there, Councillor Unger? You're in favor? Good. Okay, so it's unanimous, and now we'll go back to 550 Brecken Road, and the question to staff.
Sorry, Your Worship, for going backwards. Just in terms of if there's been multiple times that this same landlord, property owner, goes through this on an annual basis or however frequently it happens, is there a limitation of how many times we do this without taking more serious action of consequence, or is this just an annual service that this person can anticipate being undertaken at a reasonable price?
14 days.
Your Worship, to Councillor Beswick, I think the delegation point is well taken. If it's a yearly event that happens, we need to have more communication with the property owner and say, unless he deals with this problem on a regular basis, then we have to go for potentially more stringent recommendations to council, having going as far as possibly an injunction that he maintains his property on a regular basis.
So is that something that would come up in the queue, that you would know on this particular occasion that this is the 5th or 6th or 4th or however many times that this same type of request has been undertaken?
Yes, what we do is we monitor the amount of complaints on some sites, and some sites we have seen 8 and 10 times, and at some point we bring a recommendation to council for more stringent enforcement action. So yes, we'll continue to monitor it, and in this case we will, as I say, have a discussion with the owner that this cannot continue, or that we would be recommending potentially an injunction to get his attention to deal with the maintenance on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Do we vote on this? Oh, I'm sorry, that was the one from before we've come back to. So now we'll spin ahead on to item T like Tango, at the top of page 9, subdivision approval, cash in lieu of park dedication 910 and 940 Park Avenue. Staff recommendation that staff approve the payment of cash in lieu of park dedication for the fee simple subdivision of lands at 910 and 940 Park Avenue described as follows, and the legal description is there before you for both properties. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. We'll move into unresolved building deficiencies. Notice on title, section 5.7. It's requested that council are hearing and wishing to speak with respect to the unresolved building deficiencies or illegal suites for the properties listed below. The first one is Unit 102, 1930 Island Diesel Way, illegal construction and underslab plumbing. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak to matters at 102, 1930 Island Diesel Way? And the second one is 5141 Hammond Bay Road, illegal construction, finished basement to include a secondary suite. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak to matters of 5141 Hammond Bay Road? Seeing none, if someone would like to make a motion for 1 and 2. Okay, moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. Unresolved building efficiencies, marijuana grow operation, notice on title section 5.7. It's requested that council hear anyone wishing to speak with respect to the unresolved building deficiencies or marijuana grow operations at 2253 Wilgrass Road. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak to matters at 2253 Wilgrass Road?
Move the recommendation.
Okay, seconded, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. We'll go into amendments to Traffic and Highways Bylaw and Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Regulation Bylaw. Staff recommendation of council receive the report pertaining to Traffic and Highways Regulation Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2010 number 5000.439 and Parks, Recreation, and Culture Regulation Bylaw Amendment Bylaw 2010 number 7073.04, which are presented in the bylaw section of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Brecon Boat Ramp Facilities Regulation Bylaw 2010 number 7110. Staff recommendation that that council receive the report pertaining to the Brecon Boat Ramp. I think my voice is broken. Facilities Regulation Bylaw 2010 number 7110, which is presented in the bylaw section's agenda.
So moved.
Okay, seconder. Moved and seconded. I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously again. And we move into information items only. There is a report from Mr. Holm, Manager of Planning, Renew Zoning Bylaw. Maybe just to get this, if you want to accept it.
Move receipt of report.
Okay, seconder. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Mr. Holm, did you want to touch on this thing, or are we just going to receive your report at this point here?
Yeah, it's just an update on progress and where we're intending to be with it in the near future.
Okay. That we'll go into the reconsideration of bylaws to be moved by, and hope better than I can do, Councillor Beswick. Councillor Beswick, you're on.
Thank you, Worship. Item 13A, that zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.478 RA 243, part of 953 Park Avenue to rezone part of the subject property from single-family residential zone RS1 to residential duplex zone RM1 to include 2 duplex lots within an approved subdivision development, past third reading.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. Councillor Beswick, did you have anything? No questions on it?
No, Your Worship.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Item 13B, that zoning amendment bylaw 2010 number 4000.479 RA 244, 368 Hillcrest Avenue to rezone the subject property from single-family residential RS1A to low-density multiple-family residential townhouse zone RM3 to construct a multi-family development past third reading.
So moved.
Moved and seconded for discussion. Sorry? And then we have Councillor Patchy.
Thank you, Worship. I will not be voting for third reading. I want to commend the neighborhood people of the Hillcrest area that came to our public hearing. They were organized. They did a exceptionally well thought out job. And the only thing that I'm really sorry about is that it had to come to that kind of a situation in the first place. It was fairly obvious to me from the beginning that this was out of place, and it really reinforces my belief that while our official community plan states that neighborhoods and valid neighborhood plans are the building blocks of our municipal society, that area of the city needs to get one rather sooner than later. And thank you again for your effort.
Okay, Councillor Beswick.
Thank you, Worship. Similar to Councillor Patchy, I wasn't comfortable with the development when it first came to us, and whether that be the density, the parking, the traffic, the pedestrian traffic, the neighborhood, in so much as how it was going to blend in with the neighborhood, and some of the other issues that are relative to that area. I will not be supporting this third reading.
Okay, Councillor Unger.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too looked at this, and it's a family residential area, and this was a totally inappropriate project for that type of an area, and I believe we have to protect the family homes in our neighborhoods, and I will not be supporting this.
Thank you. Councillor Johnstone.
Thank you, Your Worship. Like my colleagues, I will not be supporting this motion tonight. I believe it doesn't comply. It doesn't add to the livability of the neighborhood. And I believe that many of the neighbors felt this was already a fait accompli when they were talking to the developer. And I was objecting also to the removal of heritage trees on the site. I felt that was very sad, and I will not be supporting it.
Councillor McNabb.
I will not be supporting it. I had to move it to get it on the floor, but I will not be supporting it. I believe what all the other councilmen so far has said, I agree with them. So I will not support it.
Okay, thank you. And for my part, I also will not support it. I was disappointed, I think, with the response and the two questions we had when the proposed builder came forward at the public hearing. There was a very substantial turnout of people. They all had some very, very good questions. One particular lady lived, I believe, across the street and voiced the opinion that she'd invested her life savings in this house, and she had great concerns about her property value if this sixplex was built directly across the street. And I feel that this is not consistent with what we're trying to establish in that area. It's a low-density housing area. It's entirely residential, and I certainly won't be supporting this. So I see no further questions, and so question on the motion. All those in favour? Opposed? I see all of council opposed, and it passes, or it fails unanimously, I guess I should say.
Thank you, Richard.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Item 13C, zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.480. RA 223, part of 650 Terminal Avenue to rezone by adding the H designation of the commercial Harbor Park Zone C29 to a portion of the site to permit an increase in the maximum height from 6 stories, 19.8 meters, 65 feet, to 26 stories, 87 meters, or 285 feet to allow for a high-rise building. Pass third reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded. For discussion, we have Councillor Beswick. Did you want to comment too?
Sorry, Your Worship.
Okay, and then Councillor Patchy. Sorry.
Thank you, Worship. Well, I have to tell you, I don't quite know where to start here because this rezoning request is giving me great trouble. I ran in 2008 on a platform that included a plank that had quite a few things to say about the appropriateness or not of high-rises close or on the waterfront of our beautiful waterfront, and I haven't changed my mind about that at all. I'm still a pretty strong believer in the so-called San Francisco principle, which has high-rises built on the top of the hill rather than at the bottom, so as to not to interfere with the lives of people who happen to live behind it. Now, having said that, I'm quite aware that a previous council designated a number of places, 2 of which are in the downtown core, where applications for rezonings to accommodate high-rises should be considered. And of course, Port Place Mall is one of them. And I know I have to work with that. But that doesn't automatically mean that I would approve of what I see happening here. At the public hearing, I asked the applicant why this project, the positioning of this high-rise was moved from the southeast corner of Port Place Mall to the present place where they want to build it, that being across from where the liquor store is now. And I found the answers that I got from Mr. Jones of Urban Design not very satisfactory. He alluded to the fact that there were some issues that involved the desire of the city's engineering department to come up with a bicycle lane along Front Street, and that if that were to be accommodated, we would lose 58 parking stalls. And while I know that that is significant, and while I know that important anchors such as Thrifties and London Drugs have their desires and their rules and their regulations, I don't think that's good enough to move a building from one place to another, particularly where it connects to the impact that such a building has. Now, I just want you to imagine, and remember if you can, the video that was shown at the public hearing and which was shown at other places as well, where this high-rise eventually would appear to be placed on top of a pretty wide wall of 5 or 6 stories of mixed residential and some commercial at the bottom. And so you get 26 stories or 24 or 22 on top of that. That is a massive unit. That is much bigger than a single high-rise, that's a high-rise from the bottom to the top would be, as I would imagine the high-rise would be if it were placed at the previous location, the southeast portion of Port Place Mall. So I find that very problematic. Imagine if you can, if you're walking on the seawall coming south and you come around the wharf with Fingers office and you come around the corner and all of a sudden you're faced there with this massive block opposite the tower on Cameron Island, possibly followed with a hotel high-rise on the other side of Piper Park. And that doesn't make for pedestrian-friendly urban planning in my book at all. The shadow business was kind of disappointing too. At the public hearing, I pointed out to the applicant that while we had the shadow projects for 3 of the equinoxes, we didn't have it for the December or the winter equinox, which is a pretty serious one. The sun is lower and it will throw a pretty severe shadow over the boat basin for a fairly long period of the time, although I have to guess that's what has happened, since I understand now this shadow plan for December finally arrived at City Hall, but I'm not allowed to see it because it would constitute additional information after the public hearing, and I find that problematic as well. Finally, Your Worship, the other problem I have is with the fact that when I asked Mr. Jones when we might, this tower, when he might finish this kind of project, he was extremely vague and talked in terms of 10, 15 years. Not so long ago, 2 days ago, there was an article in the Daily News that dealt with some of the plans that the Port Authority of Nanaimo has for the assembly lands. And we know there's other interest for the Velcox property. Well, in my mind, all those things have to get together. That part of Port Place Mall, Assembly Wharf, Velcox, part of the South End, that is really the last urban frontier of Nanaimo. And we only have one shot at it to do it right. And I don't believe that ad hoc towers that may or may not be built in a certain period of time are conducive to that kind of urban planning, if you can call it that. So I shall not be supporting this rezoning. Thank you, Worship.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor now, and we'll call for the motion. All those in favor? Those opposed? I have Councillor Patchy opposed. Balance of council in favor. The motion passes. Go ahead, please.
Item 13D, the zoning amendment bylaw. Zoning amendment bylaw 2010 number 4000.481, RA 241, part of 2256 Meredith Road, to rezone the subject property from single-family residential RS1 to medium-density multiple-family residential suburban zone RM5 and residential triplex and quadruplex zone RM2 to facilitate subdivision and development of multi-family dwellings past third reading.
Okay, moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously.
Item 13E, that property tax exemption bylaw Island Corridor Foundation 2010 number 7100 to exempt the lands on Schedule A as exempt from taxation for the calendar years 2011 to 2020 inclusive be adopted.
Okay, and just for clarification, this is is not the rail station. This is something separate again. So was there a seconder on that one? Okay, and it's moved and seconded. Councillor Unger.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to make for the record a point that this amounts to almost $1 million in tax exemption, which means that the taxpayers of Nanaimo have to pay that amount to make up for what they are not paying, and I just cannot support this.
Okay, Councillor Beswick.
No, it's not.
Thank you, Worship. I just wish to ask a question to staff. That was the previous exemption a 10-year period, or is this a
Your Worship,
larger...
the previous exemption was for a shorter period, an interim period, if you will, and then this one's a longer period. But I just want to clarify, and I see Mr. Clemens sitting down. I don't believe the value of this exemption is $1 million. It's substantially less, I believe. Do you have the near?
Sorry. I don't have the exact number, no, but this is just for the properties associated with the Island Corridor Foundation within the city of Nanaimo, and it's, I remember somewhere in the range of $30,000 or $40,000.
Annually?
Annually, yes.
Okay, Councillor Johnstone.
Thank you, Your Worship. Question for you, please, to staff. Are you aware of the other municipalities on the island, if they do tax exemptions for the island via rail?
Yes, Your Worship. To our understanding, the majority have. I know the regional district has as well, so it's generally or widespread.
Thank you.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. I see no further questions. All those in favor? Opposed? I have Councillor Unger opposed, balance of council in favor. The motion passes.
I would ask the Worship that highway closure dedication removal portion of an unnamed lane south of Medea Way.
Sorry.
And west of Hecate Street, bylaw 2010, number 7104, LD1 1425, to provide a partial road closure past third reading.
Okay, is there a seconder? Okay. And any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously.
Item G, Your Worship, that municipal highway naming time, place, bylaw 2010, number 7105, to provide for the naming of a municipal highway portion of McGurr Road, renamed time, place, be adopted.
Second motion. Moved and seconded. I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Balance is carried unanimously. Into the introduction of bylaws.
14A1, that traffic and highways regulation amendment, bylaw 2010, number 5000.039, general text amendments, pass first reading.
Second. Moved and seconded. I see no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
That traffic and highways regulation amendment, bylaw 2010, number 5000.039, pass second reading.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And 3.
That traffic and highways regulation amendment, bylaw 2010, number 5000.039, pass third reading.
Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Balance carried unanimously. And then we're going to B.
14B1, Your Worship, that Parks, Recreation and Culture regulation amendment, bylaw 2010, number 7073.04, to remove the Brecon Boat Ramp annual parking pass section from Schedule B, pass first reading.
Second motion. Moved and seconded. I see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimous.
That Parks, Recreation and Culture regulation amendment, bylaw 2010, number 7073.04, pass second reading.
Second motion. Second motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
That Parks, Recreation and Culture regulation amendment, bylaw 2010, number 7073.04, pass third reading.
Second motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Item C, that municipal highway naming Strongeth Arm Avenue, bylaw 2010, number 7106, to provide for the renaming of Balmoral Avenue to Strongeth Arm Avenue, pass first reading.
Second motion. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
That municipal highway naming Strongeth Arm Avenue, bylaw 2010, number 7106, pass second reading.
Second motion. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously again.
Sorry, Your Worship. The municipal highway naming Strongeth Arm Avenue, bylaw 2010, number 7106, pass third reading.
Second motion. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimous again.
D1, that Brecon Boat Ramp Facilities Regulation Bylaw 2010, number 7110, to regulate the use of the Brecon Boat Ramp facilities within the city of Nanaimo, pass first reading.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
That Brecon Boat Ramp Facilities Regulation Bylaw 2010, number 7110, pass second reading.
Second motion.
All moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimous.
That Brecon Boat Ramp Facilities Regulation Bylaw 2010, number 7110, pass third reading.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? That's unanimous again.
The Parks, Recreation, and Culture Facilities Reserve Fund Bylaw 2010, number 7111, to establish a reserve fund for Parks, Recreation, and Culture Facilities, pass first reading.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, and 2.
That Parks, Recreation, and Culture Facilities Reserve Fund Bylaw 2010, number 7111, pass second reading.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And that Parks, Recreation, and Culture Facilities Reserve Bylaw 2010, number 7111, pass third reading.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Unanimous again. Now we're going to introduction to development bylaws.
15A1, that zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.482, RA245, 5825 Turner Road, to rezone the subject property from single-family residential zone RS1 to single-family residential small lot zone RS6 in order to subdivide the lot, pass first reading.
Okay, there's a secondary. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous.
That zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.482, pass second reading.
Second. Okay, and again, see no questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
15B1, that zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.483, RA249, part of 314 Benson View Boulevard, to rezone part of the subject property from single-family mobile home residential zone RS3 to residential duplex zone RM1 in order to facilitate the construction of a duplex, pass first reading.
Okay, is there a seconder? Moved and seconded. No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous.
That zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.483, pass second reading.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
C1, that zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.484, RA240, 5619 Westdale Road, to rezone the subject property from single-family residential zone RS1 to residential duplex zone RM1 in order to facilitate construction of a duplex, pass first reading.
Okay, is there a seconder? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
And finally, Your Worship, that zoning amendment bylaw 2010, number 4000.484, pass second reading.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Now, correspondence. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we'll now move into it. Any questions on item 16A? No discussion. And item 16B? No discussion. Okay, we'll move into council appointments. Corporate officer, deputy corporate officer, that council ratify the following appointments. Ms. Joan Harrison, manager of legislative services, as corporate officer for the purpose of fulfilling the responsibilities set out in section 148 of the community charter. And 2, that Mr. Brian Clemens, director of finance, as the deputy corporate officer.
So moved. Both of them. 1 and 2.
Okay, 1 and 2. Seconder. Okay, no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried unanimously. Notice of motion that delegations pertain to items not on the agenda up to 10 minutes. Okay, question period, agenda items only. Anything on the question period?
I move we adjourn.
Welcome, Mr. Taylor. Yeah.
My name is Fred Taylor of 204 Emery Way. In tonight's agenda, you had a report on the progress of the zoning bylaw. And as you know, in the past, I've opposed some of the rewrite of the zoning bylaw, and falls in place with the OCP as well. And when I see something in the newspaper that we have a very large above average level of poverty. BC has had a minus 31%. Nanaimo has had a plus 8%. I wonder if we're going beyond our share in developing a healthy community in the manner in which we're rewriting our zoning bylaw to keep encouraging greater density and low-cost housing, etc. And I think these kind of reports need to be thought of before we keep spending more staff time on rewriting our bylaws, especially zoning at this time. You've done a good job in OCP to open the door as a guide. But why are we wanting to cut the size of properties in half and all this sort of thing with a mind of density? Yet we see reports coming out in the newspapers. And instead of building, in my opinion, a healthy community concerned with jobs, etc., we seem to be continually worried about what's happening in these reports of our growing poverty. I know we got to accommodate our share, but it seems to be out of balance. And I think you go back to how you're trying to accommodate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see no one else for the question period. Sorry? Okay, yeah. Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you very much.